Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you. Featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today, my guest is Amos Knoll, an established author having written books of inspiration such as The Chubby Conqueror, which is now under talks with producers and directed to create a movie by the same name. He is the author of approximately, and am I right about this, Amos, 11 books on your list?
No, 30 books.
30 books. Oh, boy, am I far off, but that is quite incredible.
Thank you.
So a lot of what you do is centered around bias and prejudice, and you actually run a nonprofit which is called the Obesity Foundation, and you deal with issues like this in your book about obesity, about prejudice, about biases, and the charming and the most beautiful illustrations are in your books. So I'm very pleased to have you on my show, Amos, because I think people need to hear what an author like yourself, why you feel so strongly that it's necessary to deal with these subject matters. So my first question to you is, why did you create Max and the Red-Haired Dragon?
There's a cute story behind it. There is a real Max, by the way, and Max is my great-grandson. One day Max asked me, "Hey, Papa, why do I have red hair?" I think it's like 2% of the world people have red hair. I tried to explain to him that there is only one human race, and nature gave us a variety of colors like red hair, blonde, brown hair, blue eyes, brown eyes, dark skin, light skin. Nature uses various colors and shapes, including the size, to protect us from the elements like snow, rain, wind, and so on. Animals living in cold climates have heavy fur, or birds have feathers to help them fly, and fish have gills to help them get the oxygen from the water. Nature creates everyday miracles, and you are one of them. But he made us all equal by giving us all superior brain, regardless of the color, gender, or the size. But most important, I saw an opportunity to sculpture words and picture as one, bringing out a very important message, that there is only one human race.
Yes.
And that's the message in this particular book.
I hear you. And the tale of Max and the Red-Haired Dragon teaches people, as you say, an invaluable lesson to the readers in spite of our physical differences. We are all the same under the same skin. I think that is quite right. Now, there must be a reason, and I asked you just a moment ago why you created Max and the Red-Haired Dragon, but I have to ask you also why you feel that this subject matter deserves a lot of attention.
All you have to do is open the television, listen to the news. We all talk about the races. And what do we teach our children? That a person is bad because he's Jewish, he's black, or he's white, or he's a different color than you are? Under the skin, we are all the same. We all have brains. We think the same. We love the same. We paint the same. We're one human race. That's the most important message. And if we don't teach it to our children to respect each other as humans, then we're missing the point. That's what makes us different. Otherwise, we're just another animal.
Yeah.
So the message I'm trying to convey is while the kids are young. And by the way, I went a few weeks ago to an old age home, and I read it to some old people. They loved it. And everybody wanted to touch the dragon. It's a plush dragon, by the way. I bet they did.
Which leads me to the question almost about the dragon. Why are you using the dragon as an example of bias and prejudice?
Kids and people in general like to touch things. The dragon will help them remember the goodness and the message that will be passed on the world, one human race. With this particular dragon, you can talk to it. I give you a good example, which I think is so cute. I was in my home office working on one of my books. Max came in, took the dragon, and walked out. approximately 30 seconds later, he put it back and walked out again. Then 5 minutes later, he came back and said, Papa, did you listen to the dragon? I said, no. Please listen. And Max walked out. I pushed the right paw, and it said, Papa, please play with me. I got the message. Of course I did. When kids take the plush dragon to bed with them, they will remember what it stands for. Love of mankind. You can talk to dragons. It will talk back to you. I also noticed that elderly people love the plush dragon and the stories.
Sure. You know, we live in a time that is very complex, a time where there's all kinds of, I want to call it war, and I have to do that because it really is, war around the world. And the issues that people are dealing with does not really cover the issue of what children need, because children are our future. And yet, there's no hesitation from all over the world to even put children in excuse me, let me say that again. There's even an issue of having children up against all kinds of problems that are occurring. Now, do you think a book like this, if people all over the world were able to have this book and this story, that it would make a difference in what's going on?
Yes, and the reason I can say it, and I do expect to sell millions, I really do, because it has a message. Yet the funny part is we all know the message. For example, what a beautiful, even just the message itself, it basically says, don't judge people by the color, gender, lifestyle, or the way they look. Judge people only what is in their hearts and minds. In addition, they all love to read them. They love to read the story because the story itself, this message, we all know it, but we don't practice it. But if you teach our children and remind our parents, or remind the parents themselves and the people, then we start to practice it. And
yes.
That's the point of the book. And I created the dragon so kids can associate and parents can associate.
Yeah. Now, you talked a little bit about your grandchild, and he's very fortunate he has somebody like you who's so inspirational and gives him the kind of knowledge that he needs to have as he gets older. And also, not only the knowledge, but also gives him the idea and the sense of what humanity ought to be. Now, if this book were in the hands of a lot of different people, such as teachers, it's so obvious that you are doing such a good job with your grandchild and teaching him values and teaching him all the things he needs to know as he grows up. But I'm thinking that it would be very, very important to get this into the schools, to have teachers read this book to the kids or have the kids read it to each other. Have you made an effort to get it into the schools? And if so,
yes.
And what response have you gotten?
I went to a few schools. I read it, and I'm not exaggerating. Without exception, everybody asked, where can we get the book? The teachers were excited. The teachers came over to me and said, my God, such a beautiful message. It's the way the message is presented. Part of the book, the way it designed it, and to make it look, I created the book also as a keepsake book that you can pass on from one generation to the next. It's a message that we all know. It's a message that kids love, parents love. I'm not exaggerating, but I didn't meet one person yet, without exception. I'm not talking about friends. Everybody likes a friend, but
sure.
Total stranger says, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful! Look how beautiful the book looks, and the wording, and people just, it's phenomenal. I can't believe it. My mission right now is to get the word out, because I have no doubt it's going to be a bestseller. I have no doubt whatsoever, because the message is there, and the message is also, besides the words, and use the expression that I created the words, then I had an artist, and I use artists from all over the world to create the pictures, to sculpture them, the pictures and words into one. And that's part of the presentation. And it's all presentation in anything you do. And kids and people can associate that with better.
Yeah. And as you do this, I'm just very curious how long it does take you to write a book of this nature.
Honestly, I sit down and I write a book in a few hours. I have no problem. Short stories like that. Long books, I'm writing a book right now, Liyla the Black Dog. That's about 200 pages. Those take about a week or so, too. I just sit down in front of the computer and just type it and let my imagination go. That's one thing I love about writing, because I can create my own world. And I try to use the real subject, the real names, people that I know, events in the world. I traveled all around the world. I've seen the evil that man can do for evil, and also the beauty that man, I'm referring to mankind, that man can create. And even if you look at the world today, what do we teach our children? If you really think about it.
Well, what do you think we teach our children? That's right. Yeah, that's true. But here, Amos, the fact of the matter is that parents today, and I'm using this again as another example, that parents today are extremely busy. All they're doing is going to work, spending hours upon hours with computers and all these digital devices, and the notion that they can sit down and spend some time with their kids to inspire them to be good people, to be very human, if you will, based upon what you talked about, is not really going on that much anymore. So, go ahead. Yeah.
No, okay. By the way, Max is not my grandson. He's my great-grandson. I help raise him, me and my wife. And I enjoy every moment of it. As busy as I am, and believe me, I'm very busy between the foundation and writing books, and I'm doing everything. And talking to artists, working with them. Every picture in the book, I had to make 20 changes on it, literally, to create the mood and the atmosphere and the wording. Yet when he walks into the room and he says, "Papa," I take the time out. Because at the end, you take a lot of parents today, here, take the computer, and they put them aside. Here, go, because the parents are busy. You want to help the children? Give them the love, not giving them a computer or let them just watch television. Max loves the computer. As a matter of fact, when I have a problem, he's 8 years old now, I say, "Max, how do you fix it?" He helps me. But I tell him, you can only play on the computer 1 hour a day. And then we got to read every night. I read a book with him. By the way, he reads as fast as I do. It's taking the time. If you're not going to give it to them now, you'll pay for it one way or another. If you don't pay for it now, you pay for it in the future. Aren't you better off, no matter how busy you are, to give your children the time now? Teach them the right value, because that's the value they're going to pass on to their children. That's the value. The children today will be our leaders of the future. And if you don't teach them today, it's a shame. It's a waste. It really is.
Yeah. So some of the big stores that you have actually pitched this book to, was this something that they were interested in?
Yes. As a matter of fact, some of them are very much interested. But when I read the contract, I think I was a builder for 35 years. I read a lot of contracts, and I was also a developer, actually. And when I look at some of the contracts, even someone I would be nice to help me pass the word like that, some of the terms, I think, my God, it's like, it's all about me. The big stores, you do it my way, you can't do it. As a matter of fact, I'm really considering not even going to the stores, really start doing all the selling on the internet. Now, I am talking to one major, I can't mention the name right now, major food store chain. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to the chairman. I said, "Listen, wouldn't it be beautiful that you can sell that book with a message, give people special discounts? I'll give you special discounts that you can pass it on, because you got about 2,000 stores. Can you imagine people go to your stores and they see the book? Because just look at the cover, you say, I want the book. I got to have the book before you even open it."
It does make an impression on people. There's no question about it. I mean, as I told you before, when I showed it to people, they thought it was a wonderful book, and they were very impressed. But it is also important that these big chains get a hold of it. I think so, and I'm.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, I agree, but I'm not. I'm not going to let anybody walk over on me. I'm just old-fashioned that way. Look, I sent it out to a few stars. As a matter of fact, Alveda King, you know who I'm talking about, the minister. She wrote me a beautiful letter. She saw the book and she said, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful. You got to pass on the message." And she also wants to help me. So, and this has nothing to do with religion because it has the same basic message for everybody. And so I'm getting some beautiful responses from some prominent people, and I'm gonna, as they come in, I'm going to, bring out the names.
Yeah, and now let's go back to some of the books that you actually have done before, like the Chubby Conqueror. That's a book that I think deserves to be admired, and also not only admired, but a book that has a message as well. I'd like you to tell the audience exactly what that book is about and what kind of reception you've gotten for that.
Fortunately, like all my other books, I get beautiful receptions. The Chubby Conqueror is basically about it's obesity seen through a 12-year-old boy, and the boy's fat, heavy, or obese. It doesn't matter what you call it. When people know what they are, and how he overcomes it. Those are his trials and tribulations. As a matter of fact, I got a beautiful letter from the White House regarding the book because I sent it to the White House. That has nothing to do with politics, Democrats or Republican. This has to do because we have an obesity epidemic in America. 245 million of us are fat, heavy, obese. 23 million are obese children. That's terrible. As a matter of fact, they're working on the screenplay right now to make a movie by the same name. As a matter of fact, we even have a song for the movie already. And
really?
Yeah, you can hear for a second if you want to. Let me put it on. Tell me if you can hear it.
Okay, let's see.
I've got the power, I've got the spirit, all my trials and tribulations are left behind. I know I've won, but I'm not done. All the world and bright future can be mine. If I keep the faith and don't give up, will all my dreams become a reality?
It's a very inspirational book, and it basically says I'm a conqueror, and I got the spirit. I will never give up, and I will fight for it. I'm going to lose the weight. I want to be a chubby conqueror.
That is so important, that message that you're talking about, that obesity is such a problem in this country and probably all over the world at this point. Now, with that said, a book like this, with inspirational music, something that gives kids and their parents an opportunity to say to themselves, you know what, there is a way to feel better, and there is a way to look better. And with that in mind, I'm just curious, from your standpoint, has it made a dent in the obesity problem?
Well, all I can tell you is that whoever read the book told me, and I got some letters from people that were very inspired. They said, my God, they said, all it takes is believe in yourself. Because many times, just watch television. Eat, 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 eat. That's all you watch. Now, as the advertisers, they're doing the right thing. But we as parents must teach our kids there's nothing wrong with going out and having a Sunday, everything in moderation. But if you go to McDonald's, Burger King, or whatever stores 3 times a day and you eat the stuff, it's very unhealthy for you. I'm not saying you can't have once in a while, but you got to eat in moderation. You got to watch what you eat.
Yeah.
And that's what the book is really about, the way you overcome that and then of course he becomes a Chubby Conqueror. He becomes the poster boy for obesity. That
Right.
movie will be a hit because it's simple and we can all resonate. We can all, how should I put it? Somebody who's heavy, and how often have myself too go up and down with the weight. I'm going to be on a diet, then you try different diets, and then you lose the weight, and then you forget, and you get it back up again like a yo-yo, going up and down, up and down.
Yes.
So it's a matter of mind over matter, really, to a great extent. But it's encouragement from people and friends. Boy, you look like you lost weight. Hey, you're doing a great job. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. The Obesity Foundation could be a solution to help build this message that being overweight is quite a problem and can affect almost anybody. Now, let's talk about the Obesity Foundation for a minute. When did you start it, and what motivated you to start it?
It was in 2011. I started a foundation, and I had a bunch of people that were going to work with me on a volunteer basis in the beginning. And you know what happens, people talk big. But we put this thing together, we started getting tremendous response, and we're working on some major grants. And it was just the idea because I felt it's an opportunity to help people, especially because it's an epidemic over here. Today you have kids 12 years old have the same symptoms, clogged arteries, enlarged kidneys, asthma, sleep apnea, same thing as adult people. It's the food they eat.
Yeah.
So and I felt when I wrote the book that time, it's something to inspire the kids. That's why I feel the movie is going to be a tremendous success. Not only, as a matter of fact, even with the book Max and the Red-Headed Dragon, I'll donate from every book sold 15% to Children's Obesity Foundation because I happen to be the chairman there too. So I will donate part of that money to that. And I think once the movie is out and the book is out, the book is actually out. I'm selling the book too. People will get more encouraged, and I'm going to get some major people behind me on that. But I really wanted to help our kids and the parents.
Does the movie is it a animation or is the movie?
No. Which one you're talking about? The Chubby Conqueror?
The Chubby Conqueror, correct?
Yes. No, it's a regular movie.
As a matter of fact,
when I spoke to the person in Hollywood who's working with me on it. Her name is Mary Fry, and she says, it's going to cost so much money. We're going to have to use those stars and this one. I says, Mary, I don't want that. Mary, I remember in the 60s when I was watching, Twilight Zone. You had a guy named William Shatner. You had a guy named Redford. They were getting $75 for every show, $50. Today, there are so many young talent out there. They would love to have the break. Let's hire young actors who are talented. Give them the opportunity. Make them great actors. We don't have to spend millions of dollars for actors. There are many
What was her response?
People.
What was her response, Amos?
First, she was quiet. She says, I never thought about it. You're right. I know so many talented people, and I can't mention her name. I promise I won't, but I have already a director who wants to, and she's known the director. She was excited. I said, listen, why should I spend for an actor like Redford, I'm using him for example, pay him $8 million to show up? There are other people who are good. The story itself would sell because people can associate with it. Yeah, I would love to have some of those big stars, but I can't see paying him the money. I'd rather put that money into their foundation.
There you go. Fantasy is a very popular thing for kids. I mean, books that exist today that have sold millions and millions of copies, and it's about fantasy. And what do you attribute to the fact that the fantasy is such a widespread love of people from all walks of life?
Because today, years ago, when you look at some of the old movies, I don't care if it's Humphrey Bogart or Charlton Heston or whatever, you went to look at the actors. Today, with all the animation, what they're doing in the movies, all the superheroes, people like to see it. It's just a fast thrill. They look at it, they enjoy it. And it's a tremendous market. I give you an example. I would love to do, and I think I will, Max and the Red-Headed Dragon to make it into a movie, because I think it would be a beautiful movie. Because I don't know if you saw the new movie Pete's Dragon, the new version.
I didn't, unfortunately, because it sounds like it's wonderful.
As a matter of fact, I took Max over there, and I can see Max and the Red-Headed Dragon using the dragon the way it is, bringing out this message, having a real boy, and of course the animation dragon and all his friends as he travels along. He meets red fox. He meets what do you call it? Red frog. All the different animals that like in the reddish family, and they also discover that even animals and people have things in common. So I can see that in a picture like that. But right now I'm trying to do the first movie.
Yeah, one at a time, I think, is probably the best approach. Now, we're just about at the end of the show, and I always like my guests to have the last word. If there's something you want to tell our audience that you think you can leave them with a real special message, what would it be?
All I can say is if you get the book Max and the Red-Headed Dragon, you will be impressed, literally. And if you buy it and you don't like it, I'll give you back every penny, because I'm not exaggerating, without exception, there isn't one person who says, big deal. I created it as a keepsake book that you can hand down from one generation. And apparently, it looks like I did a very good job. Now, it's not only giving the message out, it's to pass on the message.
Yes.
So not only are they buying the book to help stop discrimination, it also, part of the money will go to Children's Obesity Foundation. It's a win-win for the children, for the parents, for the Obesity Foundation, for everybody.
If people want to get in touch with you, if they really want to learn a little bit about you, about the book, about all the things that you're thinking about in the future, how do they do that?
They can go into my site, www.knollpublishing.com.
Spell Knoll for them.
Knoll is a Knoll. In other words, www.knollpublishing.com. www.knollpublishing.com.
Well, Amos Knoll, it's been a pleasure having you on the show and talking about this new book that you've written and some of the others that you've written as well, and this positive and exciting message that you're providing people with. With that said, I think, and I hope to have you back again and to hear that the movie is made, the book sold, the Obesity Foundation is getting the money it deserves so that it can help people as well. So thank you very much for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Susan, it was my pleasure, and all the things will happen.
Thank you for listening to the Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.